Chimichangas. Chipotle. We should get Chipotle. I'm driving. I don't know, man. I got my burrito and left. No, I told you. I went in there, I got my burrito, and I left. The place was not on fire when I left, I don't think. Who are you, the Chipotle police? Really? Alright, technically I was under the influence of a mind-altering substance, but I didn't ingest it knowingly. I was choking, and there was, like, who puts half a pint of ayahuasca on the desk? How's that not entrapment? Oh, okay, I see. So this is all my fault, right? I was doing this dumb, stupid, dumb thing I do, where I share my not inconsiderable knowledge with random people on the internet. Yes, it sounds very stupid, but it is true. Oh, okay, so you don't believe me? Fine, you know what? We'll do a show here. No. Deposition, let's do this. Hi, I'm Sophia-Helene, Meistercheeked, and this is Burning Questions. To all of my viewers in the US, Ireland, Canada, Finland, Croatia, the Czech Republic, the Netherlands, India, the UK, and Romania, I would like to wish you good morning, or whatever the hell time it is. Dziękuję, Marin. Bonjour. Uwahomenta. Dobro jutro. Dobre rano. Goedemorgen. Shubpravat. And Bona diminuta. As you can see, I've got my hands full explaining the show to the... You know what? Doesn't matter who. Let's just dive right in, shall we? Okay, well that's a bit of a difficult question, and it requires a significant disclaimer. I was raised in a variety of churches. Growing up, my family was very religious, and they ranged from, like, we're going to teach third graders what hell is going to be like, to hear no evil, speak no evil, see no evil kind of places where nobody really cares what you do outside of church as long as it doesn't come to church with you. And honey, this comes to church with you. Not this exactly. I know I look ridiculous right now. I was not counting on being detained outside of a Chipotle on my way to the club. So, like, 28? Now, don't get me wrong. I first developed symptoms of gender dysphoria around age 8, and honestly, the cross-dressing probably should have been more of a hint than it was. But, you know, I don't want to say I was brainwashed, but if the ruby slippers fit, ride them to Kansas. So, a couple decades and 2 suicide attempts later, I was married, and I had a stepdaughter, and then I wasn't, and I didn't, and I was 28, and I was free-ish. See, I was still in the military at the time, and this was back when being transgender was something that they could discharge you for. And they did, but that was a couple years down the road. My early transition was the happiest time of my life, even when you factor in the existential dread of losing my job, which was justified as it turns out. And I won't say that things are great, but they are significantly better. And that was only like 6 years ago. So that's your answer. Ooh, interesting. Antennas and surprisingly complicated engineering. So the principle upon which it works is essentially you have a current coming into your communication system, and an encoder breaks up that current into spotty chunks. and these chunks of electricity or electric current travel up into the antenna, and when it reaches the top of the antenna, it will charge that end as negative and the bottom will be relatively positive, and that'll form a magnetic field line in between the two. And when the electricity cuts off, that field line is broken loose from the antenna and travels into space, where it will be received and decoded by another receiver, or by a receiver at a later time. So what you need for a rocket is an antenna that is low profile, so as not to interfere with the aerodynamics of the launch vehicle, but can also withstand the significant heating and vibrational loads that a rocket will experience in flight. So in my mind, there are two major choices that jump out as intuitive: the plate antenna and the slot antenna. The plate antenna uses that effect that we talked about earlier to charge a plate and cast out a signal that is what they call weakly directional. Technically, it's omnidirectional. It will eventually reach around the other side of the rocket, but because the rocket body is significantly larger than the plate, there will be a significant rocket shadow before that signal can join at the end, and there's a continuous omnidirectional signal, and it will be stronger on the side facing the antenna as opposed to on the other side of the rocket, on the far end of the rocket. Another option is to use a slot antenna. This is where you take a directional antenna and you place in front of it or you can actually also use an omnidirectional antenna. You take an omnidirectional antenna and you place it in front of a plate, and in the plate are cut these waveguides, slots, hence the slot antenna, and the signal is concentrated in these waveguides, and it forms a kind of signal beam. So you do get a stronger directionality to the signal from that. I suppose you could make a phased array for communications, but that is expensive and heavy, and I don't think it would be worth it, especially not for ELVs. And those are just the ones that come directly to mind. You can place a whip antenna along the side of the rocket. You can, I have seen amateurs use a slot cut in the stabilizer fins as antennas, but I can't think of any professional rockets that do that. So this question comes from Lily Peterson. Thank you for the question, Lily. There's some amplifying details for the question. She wants me to, in my answer, kind of contextualize space warfare in terms of the OST, as well as the newly announced, thoroughly stupid, but also highly misunderstood Space Force. So let's start with the Space Force. My high-level contacts tell me that the Space Force is going to, contrary to what you've been reading in the newspaper, is not going to be a new branch of the military. It's going to operate more like a combatant command, like SOCOM. So we already have that, US SPACECOM, and basically just track satellites, because right now that's what you can do with warfare in space. And the OST is not really out the door yet. There is a withdrawal process for the OST, and nobody really wants to do that, because then you lose access to space, because at that point you can start objecting to overflight, because you don't legitimately know what's in your spacecraft. You don't know what the people who are flying spacecraft above your country have on that spacecraft. So it gets dicey, and this notion that there's going to be space marines is just it's silliness. It's going to look more like a bunch of dudes wearing pocket protectors, set in an office room, tracking satellites. which I guess is the long way of saying I don't think I burned down a Chipotle. I don't think. Again? Do you have any idea how much work goes into... Oh, I missed a part. Hang on. Special thanks to Scarlett DeLeon, Lily Patterson, and Jan Mayer for making this episode possible. If you liked the video, please like and subscribe. And if you want to help me make more of these videos and better videos, please consider swinging by my Patreon link in the description. And if you're looking for something a little less theatrical, I can't really help you there. Clownish theatricality is kind of my thing. But my writing at Vocal has quite a bit more gravitas than this whole thing. And as does my work at Quora. Links are both in the description. Oh, hey, are we leaving? Yeah, it's the least he could do, the miserable little after spiking my drink. Hey, did you pay my...